Deep in the wild heart of Florida, where the sun glimmers on endless ribbons of water and sawgrass stretches to the horizon, a silent shadow glides beneath the tangled green. The air is thick with the scent of wet earth and the chorus of frogs, insects, and distant bird calls. Here, in this ancient living tapestry, a new presence has arrived, one that moves with a slow, deliberate grace, unseen by most, yet destined to change everything. This is the Burmese python, a giant serpent, its scales glistening like polished bronze, muscles rippling beneath its patterned skin. It glides silently through the undergrowth, a living river of muscle and instinct, utterly alien to these American swamps. Far from its native jungles and grasslands of Southeast Asia, where it once hunted among bamboo thickets and tangled roots, the python now finds itself in a world both strange and strangely familiar. The Everglades, with their endless water and lush vegetation, offer a new kingdom to explore. The python glides through the emerald maze, its tongue flickering, tasting the humid air. Fish dart in the shallows, frogs leap from its path, and a heron, startled, takes flight with a harsh cry. The native creatures sense the arrival of something new, something powerful. The snake slips into the cool, dark water, vanishing beneath lily pads and cypress knees. It is a master of stealth, its patterned skin blending perfectly with the dappled sunlight and shifting shadows. The swamp, once a sanctuary for countless species, now harbors a secret invader. As the seasons turn, the landscape itself begins to change. The python's presence is subtle at first, a missing rabbit here, a vanished raccoon there. But over time, the balance shifts. The chorus of frogs grows quieter, the flutter of wings less frequent. The swamp's ancient rhythms are disrupted. The python is a survivor, built for endurance and patience. It climbs over tangled roots and through thick reeds, thriving in the harshest corners of the swamp. Its hunger is relentless, and its ability to adapt is unmatched. In a hidden nest, a female coils protectively around a clutch of eggs. Dozens, sometimes nearly 100. The eggs glisten in the damp earth, promising a new generation of giants. Tiny pythons break free from their shells, their eyes bright and unblinking. They scatter into the undergrowth, each one a silent hunter, ready to claim its place in this new world. Across the vast wetlands the pythons spread, their numbers swelling with each passing year. They slip through the reeds and water, invisible to all but the most watchful eyes. Their camouflage is perfect, mottled skin blending with fallen leaves and murky water. They become ghosts in the swamp, seen only in fleeting glimpses. For the native animals, the world grows more dangerous. The python waits, motionless for days or weeks, an ambush predator with infinite patience. A deer steps softly through the grass, unaware of the danger coiled in the shadows. A rabbit pauses to nibble, a bird lands to drink, each one a potential meal for the silent giant. Over decades, the invasion unfolds in slow motion. The Everglades, once ruled by native predators, now echo with the silent conquest of the python. The ecosystem trembles under the weight of this new force. The python is not evil. It is simply a survivor doing what it must to live. It hunts, it eats, it rests beneath the shade of cypress and mangrove, a living relic of another continent. Each meal is a struggle, a test of strength and patience. The python wraps its coils around its prey, a silent contest in the heart of the swamp. But with every victory, the native animals pay the price. The food web, once balanced and intricate, begins to unravel. The arrival of this Asian giant has thrown the delicate harmony of the Everglades into chaos. The swamp, ancient and wild, now faces a new and uncertain future, one shaped by the silent, unstoppable rise of the python. The Florida Everglades stretches out like a living, breathing labyrinth, a vast, watery expanse where land and water blend into one. Often called the River of Grass, this landscape is a shifting mosaic of sawgrass prairies, winding sloughs, and hidden tree islands. Water moves slowly here, weaving through dense vegetation and nourishing a world teeming with life. The river's gentle current carves out secret channels and pools, creating countless nooks and crannies. For invasive species like the Burmese python, this tangled wilderness is a sanctuary of shadows and silence. The warm, humid air wraps around every living thing, and the endless wetlands offer 1,000 places to disappear. The climate mirrors distant lands, with no harsh winters or dry spells to challenge survival. Mist rises at dawn, cloaking the marsh in secrecy, while the thick air muffles every movement. Here, cold-blooded reptiles bask in the sun's warmth or slip silently into the water, their bodies perfectly attuned to the gentle heat of the swamp. They glide beneath the surface, unseen, or rest motionless at the water's edge, waiting. The Everglades is a banquet hall for predators. The marshes pulse with life, frogs croak, birds call, and small mammals scurry through the reeds, unaware of the silent watchers hidden nearby. Raccoons, rabbits, and wading birds move through the wetlands, following ancient paths between the islands of grass and water, their routines unchanged for generations. For a patient predator, every movement is an opportunity. The swamp is a place where the hunter can wait, unseen, as the world passes by, oblivious to the danger lurking just beneath the surface. The native animals graze and forage, their senses tuned to familiar threats, but the new predators move with a silence and cunning that is foreign to this land. With no instinctive fear, the creatures of the Everglades wander close to danger, unaware of the eyes that watch from the shadows or the coils hidden in the grass. A python can vanish in inches of water, its body submerged, only its eyes and nostrils breaking the surface, perfectly still and nearly invisible. Or it can coil among the reeds, its patterned skin blending seamlessly with the tangled vegetation, a living shadow among shadows. Ambush is the python's art. It waits, motionless, for hours or even days, every muscle ready to explode into action. Along its jaws, special heat-sensing pits detect the faintest warmth, a living radar that reveals the presence of warm-blooded prey even in the blackest night. In the darkness, the swamp comes alive with movement, but the python sees a world of glowing shapes, each one a potential meal. As night falls, mammals emerge to feed, unaware that the python's secret sense guides it unerringly through the maze of water and grass. When the moment comes, the strike is sudden, a blur of motion, jaws snapping shut with precision. The coils follow, powerful and relentless, squeezing tighter with every heartbeat until the struggle ends and the swamp falls silent once more. In this world of endless cover and abundant prey, the invaders flourish. Eggs hatch in hidden nests, and young snakes slip into the water, vanishing into the green maze. Masters of stealth, they swim beneath the surface, gliding through submerged corridors, able to hold their breath for over 30 minutes as they explore new territory or evade rivals. The Everglades itself is a fortress. Its dense, tangled marshes and endless waterways form a natural barrier, a place where secrets are easily kept and intruders vanish without a trace. For the invaders, this is more than a hiding place. It is a paradise of concealment and opportunity, where the wild heart of the swamp beats on, and the perfect ambush is always just a breath away. Before the pythons crept into dominance, the Everglades pulsed with life. The air was thick with the chorus of frogs, the chatter of birds, and the rustle of mammals moving through the undergrowth. Every dawn, the swamp would awaken in a symphony of sound, branches snapping under the weight of raccoons, the soft padding of bobcat paws, and the distant splash of an opossum slipping into the water. But now, as the sun rises over the sawgrass, a heavy, unnatural quiet hangs in the mist. The familiar calls and movements have faded, replaced by a stillness that feels almost haunted. Where raccoons once patrolled the water's edge, their masked faces peering from behind cypress knees, there is only the gentle ripple of water and the whisper of wind through reeds. The opossums that used to forage in the tangled undergrowth have vanished, leaving the ferns and palmettos undisturbed, their leaves unmoved by any searching snout. The bobcat, once a silent shadow weaving between the trees, is now a memory, its territory overtaken by a hush that presses in from all sides. As the python population surged, the swamp's rhythm faltered. The silence grew, not just in sound, but in spirit, a warning that something was deeply wrong. Now, at dawn, the water lies still and glassy, unbroken by the splash of a startled animal. The air is thick, heavy with anticipation, as if the swamp itself is holding its breath. Animal trails that once crisscrossed the mud are empty, their prints washed away by rain and time, with no new tracks to replace them. The scale of this vanishing act was revealed by a landmark scientific study in 2012, but the swamp itself had already felt the loss, its balance disrupted, its energy drained. In the heart of the python's territory, the numbers told a chilling story. Where once there was abundance, now there is absence. Raccoon populations plummeted by 99.3%, their curious eyes and nimble hands now missing from the moonlit banks. Opossums, too, have nearly disappeared, 98.9% gone, leaving the undergrowth eerily undisturbed. Even the bobcat, a master of survival, has suffered an 87.5% decline, its silent hunt replaced by a deeper silence. Marsh rabbits and foxes have faded into memory, their burrows and dens left empty, the grass growing tall and undisturbed. The pythons move unseen, their presence felt in the absence of life. They are silent hunters, unraveling the food web, one meal at a time. The impact ripples outward, touching not just mammals, but every creature that once called the swamp home. Burmese pythons are indiscriminate, striking at anything they can overpower, birds, reptiles, even alligators. Feathers and bones are all that remain, scattered in the mud as silent evidence of vanished lives. Even deer, once glimpsed grazing in the shadows, have fallen prey to these relentless invaders. With each meal, the pythons tighten their grip on the ecosystem. Hundreds of thousands now slither through the wetlands, their hunger unending, their presence a constant, invisible threat. The loss of prey sends shockwaves through the food chain. Even the elusive Florida panther, a ghost among the trees, now prowls a quieter, emptier world, forced to compete with the python for every meal. The swamp's mood has changed. Where once there was a vibrant, living tapestry, now there is a sense of unease, a tension that lingers in the air, as if the land itself mourns what has been lost. At dusk, the silence deepens. The chorus of frogs is muted, the night air undisturbed by the flutter of wings or the scurry of small feet. The swamp is still, waiting, watching. The chain of life is broken, its links scattered and lost. The ecosystem, once so resilient, now teeters on the edge, its balance undone by a silent, creeping threat. The hole left by the missing animals grows wider with each passing season, and the consequences echo through every corner of the swamp in ways scientists are only beginning to understand. The Everglades, once a wild symphony, is now a battleground of silence and shadow. Its native creatures, outnumbered and outmatched, struggle to survive in a world forever changed. As if the pythons themselves were not a big enough problem, they brought with them another, more sinister threat, one that operates on a scale invisible to the naked eye, yet with consequences that ripple through the entire ecosystem. This new danger is microscopic, hidden from sight, but its impact is anything but small. It is a parasite known as the snake lungworm, a tiny nematode with a devastating effect on its hosts. Like all parasites, the lungworm survives by living inside another animal called a host and drawing its strength from it, often at great cost to the host's health. The snake lungworm, Rhyliatina orientalis, is native to Asia, just like the Burmese python. In their homeland, these two species have coexisted for millennia. Over thousands of years, the pythons and the lungworm have evolved together, locked in a biological arms race. As a result, the pythons can carry the lungworm with little harm, acting as silent reservoirs for the parasite. But in Florida, the story is very different. The native snakes here have never encountered this parasite before. With no natural immunity or defense, they are left completely vulnerable. The life cycle of the lungworm begins when its eggs are released into the environment through the feces of an infected python. These eggs are then picked up by small creatures, often amphibians or invertebrates, that serve as intermediate hosts. When a native snake preys upon one of these infected animals, the lungworm larvae enter its body, making their way to the lungs. Inside the lungs, the parasites mature, feeding on tissue and multiplying, clogging the airways and making it increasingly difficult for the snake to breathe, like running a race while your lungs fill with thick, suffocating goo. The infected snakes become weak and lethargic, their movements slow and uncoordinated. Unable to hunt effectively, they lose weight, grow thin, and may eventually starve or suffocate as their bodies fail them. The lungworm's spread is a second hidden wave of invasion, one that moves silently through the ecosystem, infecting animal after animal. While the pythons are a visible threat, hunting and consuming other animals, the lungworm is a silent killer, attacking from within and leaving no obvious trace until it is too late. The pythons, by carrying the lungworm, have unleashed a biological weapon on Florida's native snakes, one they never intended, but one that is just as deadly. The effects ripple outward, weakening entire populations of native snakes and threatening the delicate balance of the ecosystem. As more snakes fall ill, their absence is felt throughout the food web. Prey species may multiply unchecked, while predators that rely on snakes for food may struggle to survive. The lungworm adds a new, insidious layer to the ecological crisis, one that is difficult to see but impossible to ignore. Its discovery in Florida means the state now faces two invasions, one by a giant predator and another by a microscopic parasite. First, the python, a formidable hunter, is wiping out mammals and birds. Second, the lungworm, a hidden killer, is devastating native snake communities from within. This dual threat complicates any hope of restoring balance to the ecosystem. Even if every python could somehow be removed, the lungworm they introduced would remain, a permanent and silent threat to Florida's reptiles, its legacy woven into the very fabric of the wild. Deep within the tangled heart of Florida's swamps, a silent invader has woven itself into the very fabric of the wild. The snake lungworm, a parasite both cunning and relentless, has mastered the art of survival, embedding itself in the rhythms of the ecosystem. Its persistence is not just a matter of chance. It is the result of a life cycle so intricate, so perfectly adapted, that it has become an unshakable presence in the wetlands. The story begins with a python gliding through the undergrowth, leaving behind more than just a trail. Its droppings, scattered across the swamp floor, are laced with the eggs of the lungworm, tiny seeds of a new generation waiting for their chance. These eggs, nearly invisible to the naked eye, rest in the moist earth, shielded by the dense foliage and the constant humidity of the swamp. Here they bide their time, patient and undisturbed. Insects, beetles, ants, and other tiny scavengers are drawn to the droppings, searching for food. Unknowingly, they become the first unwitting hosts, carrying the parasite's eggs within their bodies as they scuttle through the undergrowth. The swamp's food chain is a web of opportunity for the lungworm. Each link is a new chance for the parasite to climb higher, to reach a host that will carry it further. Frogs and lizards, ever alert for a quick meal, snap up the infected insects. The parasite slips inside, unnoticed, and settles in, causing no harm to its new home. It waits, adapting to the rhythms of its host, blending into the background of the animal's life. The frog or lizard continues its days, basking in the sun or hiding in the cool shadows, unaware of the guest it carries. The parasite is patient, content to remain dormant until the next opportunity arises. In the wild, these animals are not just hosts, they are vessels, bridges that carry the parasite from one stage of life to the next. When a snake, driven by hunger, consumes a frog or lizard, the parasite's journey continues. Inside the snake, the eggs hatch, and the young worms make their way to the lungs, where they mature and begin the cycle anew. The lungs become a nursery for the next generation. Here, the adult worms thrive, laying eggs that will soon be expelled into the swamp, ready to begin the process again. This cycle, perfected over countless generations, allowed the lungworm to leap from the invasive pythons to Florida's native snakes, slipping seamlessly into new hosts and new territories. A native snake, hunting in the shadows, consumes a frog already carrying the parasite. The lungworm adapts, thriving in its new host, and the cycle continues unbroken. The parasite's journey is a bridge, one that connects species, crosses boundaries, and reshapes the balance of life in the swamp. Its presence ripples through the food chain, touching every creature that feeds, hunts, or scavenges. Now, the lungworm no longer relies on the python alone. It has adapted, learning to move directly between native snakes, using the swamp's own diversity to ensure its survival. Native snakes, once isolated from such threats, now pass the parasite among themselves. Each encounter a new opportunity for the lungworm to persist. Even predators, birds, raccoons, opossums play a role. When they consume an infected snake, the parasite's eggs are scattered anew, spreading through the swamp with every meal. Frogs and lizards, ever present, pick up the cycle again, feeding on insects or droppings, and the parasite's journey continues, looping endlessly through the wild. The lungworm has become a part of the swamp's story, a thread woven through every layer of the ecosystem, adapting, surviving, and thriving in the shadows. Its persistence is a testament to its adaptability. No longer dependent on a single host, it has found a way to endure, to outlast, to remain. Even if every python vanished from the wetlands, the parasite would linger, hidden in the bodies of frogs, lizards, and native snakes, waiting for the next chapter in its story. Its reach now extends far beyond the Everglades, carried by native snakes to distant corners of the state, its presence felt in every shadowed glade and sunlit bank. 18 species of native snakes now carry the lungworm, each one a new chapter in the parasite's ongoing saga of survival. The lungworm is now a permanent resident of the swamp, a shadowy legacy of adaptation and persistence, forever entwined with the fate of Florida's wild reptiles. In the heart of North Florida, where the mist clings to ancient trees and the air hums with the secret lives of wild things, a new chapter is unfolding. Here, beneath the towering pines and tangled undergrowth, the balance of power is shifting. The eastern indigo snake, a creature of legend and shadow, glides once more through its ancestral domain. Its return is not just a reappearance, but a restoration of order, a silent coronation in the wild. At up to 9 feet in length, the indigo snake is a living ribbon of midnight, commanding respect from all who cross its path. In the animal hierarchy, size and strength matter, but so does reputation. As an apex predator, the indigo snake is the undisputed sovereign of the undergrowth. Smaller snakes slither away at its approach, rodents freeze in terror, and even the venomous rattlesnake, once a feared tyrant, becomes prey. Its scales shimmer with an iridescent sheen, catching the dappled sunlight like black armor. The forest seems to hold its breath as the emperor passes, every creature attuned to the subtle shift in power. The indigo snake is a specialist, a hunter of hunters. It consumes other snakes, including the venomous, with a calm immunity. The rattlesnake's warning rattle is silenced, its venom powerless against the emperor's reign. Once the longleaf pine forests echoed with the silent passage of these regal predators. But as the forests fell and the land changed, the emperor vanished, leaving a void in the animal kingdom. The loss of habitat and the decline of the gopher tortoise, whose burrows offered sanctuary, shattered the delicate balance. Without the emperor, chaos crept in. Rodents multiplied, venomous snakes grew bolder, and the hierarchy faltered. The forest, stripped for agriculture and development, became a kingdom without a king. The gopher tortoise, too, felt the absence. Its burrows, once bustling with life, grew empty and cold. The interconnected web of life frayed at the edges. Without the indigo snake, the burrows lost their most formidable guardian. The forest's smaller creatures sensed the change, their world less certain, their fates less secure. But now the emperor returns. Released into the wild, the indigo snake glides through the undergrowth, reclaiming its throne. The Apalachicola bluffs and ravines preserve, a vast expanse of restored forest, becomes the stage for this ancient drama. The animals sense the shift. Hawks circle higher, foxes tread more carefully, and the smaller snakes slink into deeper shadows. The return of the indigo snake is more than a spectacle. It is a restoration of balance. The food chain realigns, the ecosystem breathes easier, and the old order is re-established. In a land overrun by invaders, the native emperor's presence is a clarion call. The wild things remember, and the hierarchy is restored. The indigo snake, a hero of the native wild, moves with purpose. Its return is a promise, a future where the forest's ancient rhythms beat strong once more. Already the signs of change ripple through the swamp. The emperor's shadow brings order, and the creatures of the forest respond in kind. In the golden hush of autumn, the forest holds its breath. Something ancient stirs beneath the fallen leaves. Hidden cameras capture the miracle. Wild-born indigo snake hatchlings, the first in half a century. The next generation of emperors emerges, their tiny scales gleaming in the dappled light. The forest's silent witnesses, owls, foxes, and tortoises, sense the return of balance. The cycle begins anew. The adult snakes thrive, their lineage secured. The emperor's bloodline pulses through the wild once more. The forest's hierarchy is restored, the balance of power reasserted. The emperor's reign brings stability, and the wild flourishes. The emperor of the forest glides through shafts of sunlight, a living legend returned. In the hush of the swamp, the balance is restored, and the story of the snake emperor continues. Deep in the heart of the Everglades, a silent war rages on. A battle not waged by humans, but by the wild creatures who call this place home. Every day, native animals must adapt to the relentless presence of the Burmese python, a predator unlike any they have faced before. The Everglades' original residents, deer, raccoons, rabbits, and birds, have learned to be more alert, their senses sharpened by the constant threat slithering through the shadows. Some, like the mighty alligator, have become both rival and prey, locked in a primal contest with the invader. Others, like the marsh rabbit and egret, have grown scarce, their numbers dwindling as the python's shadow stretches across the wetlands. The ecosystem itself is shifting, forced to adapt to a new and cunning apex predator. Some animals have changed their habits, nesting higher, foraging at different times, or seeking new hiding places in the tangled wilderness. Young alligators huddle closer, wary of the silent hunter that glides beneath the surface. Flocks of birds erupt into flight at the slightest disturbance, and deer leap away at the faintest rustle in the grass. The python's mastery of camouflage makes it nearly invisible, a ghostly presence that haunts the dreams of prey. Even the native snakes and lizards, once rulers of their domain, now move with greater caution, ever watchful for the python's approach. Sometimes the battle erupts into open conflict, an alligator lunges, a python coils, and the outcome is never certain. But more often the struggle is quiet and unseen, marked by empty nests and silent marshes where life once thrived. The very landscape is changing, as the balance tips, and the web of life is rewoven by the python's presence. Fish and waterfowl, too, feel the ripple effects as the loss of small mammals and birds alters the food chain. The Florida panther and the wise old owl, top hunters in their own right, now face a new competitor for their prey. At night, the python moves silently, its presence felt but rarely seen, as native animals freeze in place, hoping to go unnoticed. Each season, new clutches of python eggs hatch in secret, unleashing more silent hunters into the wild. The struggle is endless, a test of adaptation and survival in a world forever changed. In this vast, untamed wilderness, the native creatures fight on, adapting, learning, and enduring in the face of a relentless invader. The battle is far from over, and the outcome remains uncertain. But the spirit of the Everglades endures wild and unbroken in every creature that calls it home. Deep within the tangled heart of Florida's wild swamps, a quiet resistance is rising. Here, beneath the cypress canopy and among the sawgrass, the native creatures of the Everglades are awakening to a new challenge, one that tests their instincts, courage, and adaptability. The raccoon, clever and resourceful, slips through the shadows, ever watchful for danger. The otter, playful yet fierce, navigates the waterways with agility, always alert to the shifting balance of its home. Together, these animals form the first line of defense, their senses finely tuned to the presence of the giant invaders. But it is the apex predators, the American alligator, the elusive bobcat, and the majestic Florida panther, who are stepping into the spotlight. After years of being threatened by the relentless spread of pythons, these formidable hunters are beginning to see the snakes not as a menace, but as a challenge to be met head-on. As dawn breaks over the misty wetlands, a sense of hope stirs. Each animal, in its own way, is learning to adapt, to fight, and to reclaim its place in the ecosystem. The bobcat, small but fearless, faces down snakes many times its size. The alligator, armored and ancient, brings raw power to the struggle. The panther, swift and silent, stalks the shadows, ready to strike. In these rare but remarkable encounters, the native defenders show a tenacity and strength that defies the odds, turning the tables on the powerful pythons. Among these stories, one stands out, a tale of courage and instinct. A 25-pound bobcat, driven by hunger and the need to protect its territory, stalks a massive 13-foot Burmese python guarding a nest of eggs. The bobcat's muscles tense, its eyes lock onto its target, and it launches a relentless assault. Again and again, the bobcat attacks, undeterred by the snake's size and strength. The struggle is fierce, a true test of will and survival. At last, the bobcat prevails, standing victorious over its formidable foe, a testament to the resilience and bravery of Florida's wild defenders. Such moments are more than just battles. They are symbols of nature's determination to restore balance, of predators rising to meet the challenge of a new and dangerous rival. Each victory, no matter how small, proves that the native animals possess the courage and skill to face even the most daunting adversaries. Whether outsized or outnumbered, these defenders refuse to back down, their instincts guiding them through every encounter. The American alligator, ruler of the swamp, brings its own formidable abilities to the fight. With armored skin and a powerful bite, the alligator is a force to be reckoned with. Time and again, alligators have been seen clashing with pythons, sometimes emerging victorious, sometimes locked in a deadly struggle. These ancient rivals, both perfectly adapted to their environment, engage in battles that echo through the ages. Sometimes the python's coils prove too strong, but a determined alligator can turn the tables, making a meal of the invader and reminding all who rules these waters. The Florida panther, rare and regal, moves silently through the undergrowth. With keen senses and unmatched agility, it too has begun to recognize the python as prey. In rare but powerful encounters, the panther's strength and cunning prove a match for the snake's size and stealth. Slowly, these top predators are learning that the python, once a threat, can also be a source of nourishment. Each meal is a lesson, each hunter's step toward restoring the natural order. The stories of these native defenders are a testament to the power of adaptation and the unbreakable spirit of the wild. Yet the path to balance is long and uncertain. The process of adaptation unfolds slowly, over years and generations. It has taken decades for these predators to even begin to recognize the python as prey, and the struggle is far from over. The challenge remains immense as the pythons continue to multiply and spread. Their numbers grow with each new clutch of eggs, and the defenders are still too few to stem the tide alone. Yet every act of resistance is a sign of hope, a reminder that nature is resilient, and that its defenders will not give up the fight. The Everglades, with its tapestry of life, is not helpless. Its creatures are strong, adaptable, and determined to survive. Given time and with the courage of its wild defenders, nature will always strive to restore balance, proving that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the spirit of the wild endures. Deep within the tangled heart of Florida, a silent storm is gathering. The wilds are bracing for a conflict unlike any before, a war of shadows and scales, of ancient instincts and new invaders. The fate of the land hangs in a delicate balance, as alliances are forged and rivalries sharpened beneath the dense canopy and endless sky. Three mighty forces now prepare for battle: the relentless Burmese pythons, the resurgent native snakes, and the insidious lungworm Parasite. Each is a power unto itself, but none can claim the wilds alone. Across the vast expanse of Florida, invisible borders are drawn. Territories shift, and the ancient order is upended as new powers rise. The Burmese pythons, silent conquerors of the southern swamps, now press northward. Their coils tighten around new lands, their hunger unending, their presence a shadow that falls ever farther across the peninsula. Undaunted by cooler winds and unfamiliar terrain, the pythons adapt and advance, seeking fresh prey and new dominion. Their invasion is relentless, their ambition boundless, but from the north a challenger stirs. The eastern indigo snakes, regal and formidable, emerge from the shadows of the panhandle. Their return signals hope for the old order and a new force in the coming struggle. As their numbers swell, the indigos glide along rivers and through forests, their presence a silent promise of resistance. They are the emperors of the wild, and their journey southward is a march toward destiny. The stage is set for a fateful encounter. The mighty indigos, snake-eaters by birthright, are drawn inexorably toward the pythons. Their rivalry is ancient, their collision inevitable. When a 9-foot indigo, honed by generations of predation, meets a 15-foot python, a titan among invaders, the outcome is shrouded in suspense. Will the native champion prevail, or will the invader prove too formidable? Yet lurking unseen, a third force weaves its way through the conflict, the lungworm Parasite. It is the wild card, the silent saboteur, indifferent to alliances or rivalries. The Parasite spreads with quiet efficiency, slipping through the undergrowth, infecting hosts on both sides of the coming war. Its allegiance is to none, its threat universal. North and south the lungworm claims victims, weakening the strong and preying on the vulnerable. No snake is truly safe from its reach. The indigos, newly restored to their ancestral lands, now face a test beyond any rival. The Parasite's shadow looms, threatening to undo their hard-won return. Will these noble predators, symbols of resilience and power, withstand the lungworm's assault? Or will their resurgence be cut short by an enemy too small to see? Only the strongest, the most adaptable, will endure. In this war, survival is the ultimate prize, and every creature must prove its worth. The wilds of Florida become an arena where every encounter is a test, every alliance fragile, every rivalry fierce. The rules are written in tooth and scale, in venom and cunning. The indigos may rise as champions, their appetite for snakes turning the tide against the invaders. Their patrols could become the last hope for balance in the wilds. But the pythons are giants, their strength legendary. They may yet prove too mighty, their grip on the land unbreakable even by the fiercest native. And always, the lungworm waits, ready to tip the scales, to exploit every weakness, to claim victory in the shadows. Will the parasite weaken both sides, or will it grant the pythons an edge, their resistance outlasting the native defenders? The wilds hold their breath. The alliances of predator and prey, the rivalries of invader and native, the silent threat of disease, all converge in a suspenseful struggle for the soul of Florida. The outcome is unknown, the future unwritten. In this epic war, only the wild will decide who shall rule and who shall fall. Long before the rise of giants and the spread of silent invaders, the swamps of Florida echoed with the presence of ancient hunters. These were the original rulers of the wetlands, primordial predators whose lineages stretch back millions of years, their instincts honed in a world untouched by human hands. In the dusky light beneath the cypress canopy, the American alligator glides, a living relic from an age when reptiles ruled the earth. Its armored body slips silently through the water, eyes and nostrils just above the surface, waiting with infinite patience. Alligators are the masters of ambush. With a single explosive lunge, they snap up fish, birds, and sometimes even the unwary snakes that cross their domain. Their jaws, powered by one of the strongest bites in the animal kingdom, crush bone and shell with ease, leaving little chance for escape. Sharing the ancient swamps, the cottonmouth, also known as the water moccasin, prowls the tangled banks and shadowy shallows. Its hunting is a dance of patience and precision. Motionless for hours, the cottonmouth waits for the vibrations of a frog, a fish, or a small mammal. When the moment comes, it strikes with lightning speed, injecting venom that both subdues and digests its prey from within. Above, the red-shouldered hawk circles on broad wings, its sharp eyes scanning for the slightest movement below. With a sudden dive, it plunges through the canopy, talons extended, snatching up snakes and rodents in a blur of feathers and fury. The hawk's keen senses and aerial agility make it a formidable force, keeping populations in check from above. Even beneath the murky waters, ancient hunters lurk. The garfish, armored in diamond-shaped scales, moves with prehistoric grace. Its long, toothy snout snaps sideways at passing fish, a hunting style unchanged since the time of the dinosaurs. The gar's presence is a reminder that the swamps have always been a crucible of survival, where only the most adaptable endure. Together, these predators form the backbone of the swamp's ancient order. Each has its role, balancing populations, culling the weak, and ensuring the health of the ecosystem. Their rivalry and cooperation weave a tapestry of life that has persisted through ice ages, droughts, and floods. Now, as new invaders press into their territory and unseen parasites creep through the undergrowth, the ancient hunters face a test they have never known. Yet, their legacy is one of resilience. Their hunting techniques, passed down through countless generations, are the foundation upon which the wilds are built. In the shadowy heart of Florida, the echoes of the first hunters still shape the fate of all who dwell within. Beneath the tangled canopy and between the winding waterways, a quieter drama unfolds, one that is easy to overlook, yet reshapes the very heart of the swamp. As invasive pythons slither into dominance, their presence ripples far beyond the animals they consume. The impact reaches deep into the world of plants, where every leaf, flower, and seed depends on ancient partnerships with the creatures around them. With fewer small mammals, the forest floor grows strangely still. Once, raccoons and opossums scattered seeds as they foraged, carrying the future of countless plants in their paws and bellies. Now, with their numbers decimated by the python's relentless appetite, many seeds fall where they grew, never spreading far, never finding the sunlight they need to thrive. The patterns of growth begin to shift. Some plants once common struggle to take root. Others, less dependent on animal allies, creep in to fill the gaps. High above, the air is quieter too. Fewer birds means fewer pollinators to visit the swamp's wildflowers. Blossoms that once attracted hummingbirds and warblers now wither unnoticed, their pollen undisturbed. Without these winged visitors, the cycle of renewal slows. Fewer fruits ripen and fewer seeds are sown for the next generation. Even the insects feel the change. As reptiles and amphibians fall prey to the pythons, their absence echoes through the web of life. Mosquitoes, beetles, and butterflies shift their habits, some populations swelling while others decline. The balance of pollination and pest control falters, subtly altering which plants flourish and which fade into memory. The transformation is gradual, almost invisible, yet profound. The swamp's tapestry grows patchy and uneven, ancient relationships unraveling thread by thread. The silent invader, unseen among the roots and reeds, has set in motion a cascade that touches every living thing. Here in the Green Kingdom, beneath the cypress and willow, the loss of one predator is felt by every stem and petal, every seed carried or lost to the wilds. In this changed world, the plants wait. Some adapt, finding new ways to survive. Others linger on the brink, their fates entwined with the vanished creatures that once sustained them. The story of the swamp is written not only in tooth and claw, but in the silent struggle for sunlight, space, and survival that shapes the living heart of the wild. As dusk slips into darkness, the swamp awakens to a world unseen by daylight. Moonlight glimmers across still waters, casting silver patterns on lily pads and cypress knees. Here, the night belongs to those who thrive in shadow, a secret orchestra of creatures, each playing their part in the ancient symphony of survival. The air pulses with the rhythmic chorus of frogs, their calls echoing from every corner. Tree frogs trill from high branches, while bullfrogs bellow from the water's edge, claiming their territories with booming voices. In the hush between songs, the delicate rustle of wings reveals bats swooping low, feasting on moths and mosquitoes that rise in swirling clouds above the reeds. Beneath the surface, alligators drift silently, eyes and nostrils just above the water, hunting with senses honed by eons. Their slow movements belie the sudden violence of their strikes as fish or unwary birds become midnight meals. Along the muddy banks, river otters slip through the shadows, playful yet ever alert, searching for crayfish and small fish hidden beneath tangled roots. From deep in the thickets, the haunting hoots of barred owls ring out, each note a warning and a challenge. Their silent wings slice through the darkness as they hunt for rodents darting beneath fallen leaves. Occasionally, a flash of movement betrays a raccoon, its masked face glinting in the moonlight as it forages for frogs' eggs or fruit, one of the few survivors left to roam the altered night. Predators and prey dance a delicate ballet, each guided by senses tuned to the darkness. Deer slip through the undergrowth, pausing at every snap of twig. Snakes, some native, others invasive, glide silently through grass and water, searching for sleeping birds or unsuspecting small mammals. Every shadow hides a story, every ripple a secret. Fireflies blink in silent conversation, painting the air with fleeting sparks. Crickets and katydids add their own rhythms, weaving a tapestry of sound that blankets the swamp in restless life. Here, beneath the stars and the watchful gaze of the moon, the swamp's nocturnal world endures, its mysteries deepened by the absence of day, its dramas played out in darkness. No human footsteps disturb this realm. Only the creatures of the night know its true wonders, and only they can tell the tales written in the hush and the hunt of the midnight wild. Beneath the tangled canopy and above the labyrinthine waters, an invisible web stretches across the Florida swamp, a living network spun from hunger, adaptation, and survival. Every creature, from the smallest insect to the largest predator, is a single knot in this intricate tapestry, bound by the unspoken rules of give and take. Dragonflies dart over still pools, feasting on clouds of mosquitoes, while those same mosquitoes draw sustenance from frogs and birds. Frogs, in turn, become meals for herons, snakes, and even the patient snapping turtles that lurk beneath the surface. Annelies and skinks chase beetles and spiders along bark and leaf, only to become prey themselves to the silent swoop of an owl or the quick strike of a water moccasin. Fish ripple through the murk, feeding on insect larvae and algae, while larger fish, bass and gar, patrol the depths, ever hungry for smaller rivals. Alligators, the ancient kings of these waters, consume fish, turtles, and even the occasional deer that ventures too close to the water's edge. Their leftovers nourish scavengers, crayfish, vultures, and countless beetles, ensuring that nothing is wasted, that every life lost feeds another. Plants are more than scenery. Cypress knees and sawgrass filter the water, offer shelter, and provide the very foundation for the swamp's life. Insects pollinate blooms, birds spread seeds, and even the fallen leaves fuel a hidden world of fungi and bacteria that recycle nutrients for the next generation. But the balance is fragile. When an invasive species enters the web, like the Burmese python or the apple snail, it tugs at every thread. Pythons swallow rabbits, raccoons, even alligators, their unchecked, hunger-shrinking populations that once kept other species in check. Apple snails devour aquatic plants, stripping away vital shelter for fish and invertebrates, muddying the waters and starving the food web at its roots. Native predators falter, their prey vanishing. Some creatures multiply unchecked, while others fade into silence. With each disruption, the swamp's connections fray, the harmony of countless generations thrown into disarray. Yet the web endures, adapting, shifting, never truly breaking. For every loss, new relationships form, new struggles begin. In this ever-changing world, the Florida swamp's food web remains both a testament to resilience and a warning. In nature, every thread matters, and every balance can be undone. In the deepening twilight of the Florida swamp, time moves in ripples, not straight lines. Without the heavy tread of humans, the wild claims every hour, every inch, and the future unfolds as a tapestry woven by the hands and claws and fangs of its inhabitants. In one possible tomorrow, the Burmese python, once an invader, becomes a fixture, no longer unchecked but woven into the web by the rise of new predators. Young alligators, learning to hunt the massive snakes, grow larger and more cunning. Bobcats adapt, shifting their diets and stalking python hatchlings in the reeds. Even birds of prey, like the great horned owl, grow bolder, snatching young serpents from the waterlogged grass under the cover of darkness. Elsewhere, the apple snail's rampage transforms the marshes. Their numbers swell, but so too do the limpkin and snail kite, whose beaks and hunting skills sharpen over generations. The swamp's plant life bends but does not break. Native lilies and hardy sedges evolve thicker stems and bitter sap, outlasting the hungry tide. Amid the shifting balance, new alliances emerge. Otters and raccoons, once competitors, discover mutual benefit in foraging together, flushing out prey from tangled roots. Fish adapt to murkier waters, developing keener senses and new hunting strategies. Insects, ever resilient, fill the gaps left by vanished species, their buzzing wings carrying pollen and hope. As decades pass, the swamp's chorus changes pitch. The old giants, ancient cypress and gnarled oaks, stand as silent witnesses to adaptation. Fungi and bacteria, the silent recyclers, become the keystones of renewal, breaking down what was lost and building the soil for what will be. The web tightens, loosens, and re-tightens, never static. Each new predator, each clever prey, each shifting plant root writes a future that is not a return to what once was, but a leap toward what could be. In this world without human hands, resilience is not a choice, it is the law. The swamp endures, transformed yet unbroken, its wild heart echoing into tomorrow's dawn.